I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be, there is a universe inside of you. Well, I'm going to talk about health today, because the reason I spend such a big time focusing on health is because I used to have a lot of health problems. I used to have allergies, I used to have bad constipation, I used to have skin rashes, I used to get the flu several times a year, I was constantly getting colds, I was constantly getting sick, and it wasn't until my early 30s that I really learned how to balance my body chemistry so I no longer suffered from colds and symptoms and getting sick or having headaches and the kind of things that most people suffer from. And as a guy who used to have really bad hay fever and really bad allergies, springtime just really completely sucked ass for me. Constantly having a runny nose, constantly having one or both of my nasal passages clogged up where I couldn't really even breathe through my nose. I mean, it was fucking so absolutely unpleasant. If you have never experienced symptoms like that, it's like, man, was it absolutely miserable. And so the thing is that health is a big part of your life, because think about it. If you're not healthy, if your body is out of balance, if you're getting sick, you're not sleeping very well, you're not getting enough sleep, you're tired, you're fatigued, you're not going to be as mentally sharp as you could be. If you're sick, this is going to affect how you're able to show up in your relationships. It's going to affect your ability to think clearly at work. It's going to affect your ability to come home at the end of the day if you're trying to build a business on the side at night, part-time, when you're working for somebody else during the day. So if you come home and you're just totally fatigued because you're not taking proper care of your body, you're not exercising with weights, you're not doing your cardio, you're not eating alkaline, you're not properly detoxifying your body, so you're going to need more sleep than you normally would. And when you have a limited number of hours, especially if you're trying to build a new business on the side so you can eventually tell your boss to take that job and shove it, so to speak, it's going to make it really hard to be motivated to do those things. If you're so tired, instead of going home, you're like, oh, I just want to go to bed. You're going to lay down on the couch, and you're not going to get anywhere. And then the next day, you're going to wake up and you're going to be pissed off at yourself because you didn't take any action the night before. But the beauty of taking care of yourself is in eating healthy, eating the right way, the way that Dr. Robert O. Young teaches. I mean, you can see how it physically makes you feel better. Like if I were to go out tonight and start drinking a bunch of beer, eat a bunch of candy, lots of sugar, lots of unhealthy stuff, lots of protein, lots of carbohydrates, I'd feel it. My nasal passages would start to close up. I would get tired a lot earlier than I normally would in the evening. I literally can feel it in my body. And if I do that for a couple of days, then my nose will start running. I mean, all those symptoms will start coming back that I used to have years ago. That it's just, I remember how that stuff was. And so when you suffer like that for decades and you're able to eat a certain way and exercise a certain way where those things no longer even exist in your life, you don't want to fucking go back to the way it used to be. And so I wrote something down the other day that I just felt inspired, and I was writing that talks about your body and your body chemistry and what happens to you and the right way to eat and the right way to take care of yourself. And so I wanted to share this with you because everything in life has consequences. And just like what Ayn Rand said, she says you can ignore reality, but you can't ignore the consequences of ignoring reality. And it's true, especially with your body. A lot of people, I was talking to a doctor friend of mine, one of my favorite people in the whole world, Dr. Dominic Deanna. You can go to his website, BeSimplyWell.com. He's the chiropractic doctor that I use, my network chiropractic doctor. He's one of the best in the world. So if you're ever in Orlando, I highly recommend that you go see him. His website is BeSimplyWell.com. And we were talking about a friend of his, and this friend knows what he does for a living and know how much it helps people. But he was always like, oh, I'm busy, I can't get down there. And this particular friend of his plays golf like 4 days a week. And so it's not until he's in the hospital, he's got like heart arrhythmia or whatever, his heart palpitations, whatever it happens to be, and he spends a couple of days in the hospital, and the doctor's like, dude, you need to take better care of yourself. Now, all of a sudden, after the doctor's scared the shit out of him, he's in there 3 days a week getting trained. And even on the weekends, he's, because they're friends, he's trying to, hey, can I come by and get in and train me? He's taking care of his body now because it was a very sobering experience. I've got one of my best buddies from high school. he was big and bulky. He took care of himself in high school, but after that, he kind of stopped working out, and he's fat, he's overweight. And he posted a picture the other day on Facebook with this giant scar on his chest because he just had emergency open heart surgery, and his fucking man boobs are hanging out, and it's just like, you can't not take care of your body and expect to have a good, high quality of life, because especially with like medical technology and the way it's able to extend human life, you're going to suffer with symptoms, but you'll be able to survive. I mean, think about it. Do you really want to spend 2, 3, 4 decades of your life suffering unnecessarily with debilitating symptoms that dramatically suck the quality of your life away? I mean, think about it. When we take care of ourselves, when people stop breaking down and they're not dying of cancer and their bodies aren't, because what's basically happening is the average person is rotting from the inside out right now. And so the things that break your body down after you die normally, you're literally rotting while you're still alive. And so just imagine what happens. I mean, what happened? What are you going to do with 150 years or 200 years or 300 years? What would you do if you lived that long? I mean, think about that. How would that change your priorities in life? How would that change the way you go about doing something that you want to accomplish? Like I watched a video recently, like with actor Jim Carrey. One of the things he said I thought was really powerful. He said, sometimes you have to do something you hate in order to do something you love. And what he was talking about is one time early on in his career, or when things had started to taking off, and he had done a couple of movies, he went back and started doing stand-up comedy again to earn money, to earn a living, because it enabled him to keep his career going, to keep feeding the machine, so to speak, because I guess there was a period where he had a couple of movies, and then his career kind of died out for a couple of years after that, and he didn't really have much going on as far as movies went. And he was just like, fuck, going back to stand-up and doing impressions. Because at that point, he'd been doing that stuff since he was a kid, really. He was just like sick to damn death of it. But sometimes, he said, is like, you have to go back and do what you hate in order to do what you love. And like now, he's traveling around the world in private jets and really enjoying life because he was willing to pay the price. It's just like Jerry Rice said, today I will do what others won't, so tomorrow I can accomplish what others can't. So when you look at it, if I'm going to live, it'll be 100 years or 200 years or 150 years with all of the advances by taking care of your body and having a super high quality of life, then maybe spending 5, 10, 15, 20 years focusing relentlessly on building something or becoming great at your craft or going back to school or becoming a doctor, whatever it happens to be. In the grand scheme of things, when you figure you're going to be around for 15, 20 decades, just spend a decade or two building something that will carry you for the rest of your life. It's not really a big deal. It's not really a big commitment. And it's something to think about. And so I want to read this essay that I wrote about health here because I've been getting people that, dude, got to do another video on health. Got to do another video on health. And so I wrote, if you fail to have 70 to 80% an alkaline diet, in other words, if you fail to eat 70 to 80% alkaline foods, exercise with weights 4 to 5 times a week, and do 30 to 45 minutes of cardio 3 to 4 days a week. This is what I do. Your red blood cells, which are the building blocks of your eye tissue, your skin cells, your hair, your nails, your bone, your blood vessels, your brain cells, and everything that basically, they're the building blocks of the physical you that build the physical you and constantly are rebuilding the physical you when cells die or they get damaged. Your red blood cells, if you're not keeping an alkaline diet, what will happen is your red blood cells will morph into rod bacteria, cancer cells, and other things that are toxic to your human organism. And the reason they do that is they're just simply trying to survive in the toxic fishbowls of your body. You want to think of like your internal fluids as kind of like your fishbowl. And think about it. Everybody's seen a dirty like goldfish bowl or fish bowl, and the fish they kind of swim real slow. But when you change the water and it's brand new healthy water, their eyes are open. Their skin looks better. They have their color comes out. I mean, it's noticeably different. So common sense would dictate that if your internal state is out of whack, is out of balance, it's more acidic than more alkaline, it's going to affect how you feel. So that will cause your body to deteriorate and die decades before it should. And so as a life and peak performance coach, I'm all about having a super high quality of life. It's all about how to be a complete, healthy human being without the symptoms of a highly toxic and acidic internal body or fishbowl. That's what Dr. Young likes to refer to it as. And it's a brilliant analogy, great metaphor. So your cells, they're alive too. That's what's amazing. And in order to stay alive, it's like your cells literally have a consciousness of their own. There's something that's causing them to operate independently of your own thoughts. There's life living and dying. There's billions and billions of organisms living and dying inside you right now. And so what happens, in order to stay alive in the toxic fluids of your blood and your lymph, the acidic fluids of your body, your healthy blood cells will change from healthy tissue into cancer cells, rod bacteria, and other toxic things just to survive in your dirty internal fishbowl. And what this is called is pleomorphism. And the really cool thing about pleomorphism, this is what Dr. Young's, one of his major discoveries is, and Johns Hopkins has just confirmed this, that basically the source of all disease in the human organism is an overacidic lifestyle, is an overacidic internal terrain. And so once you repair the alkaline internal balance of your body, those cancer cells, the rod bacteria, yeast, candida, other stuff that's eating all the sugar and glucose that you're ingesting, and the carbs and the excessive fruits or candy, whatever it happens to be, the cake, the ice cream. What happens is these microforms will actually change back into healthy red blood cells again. I actually have an old VCR tape of this at my house. I think maybe on YouTube you might be able to find a video that Dr. Young may have posted where you can actually see this. It's called pleomorphism. So you must take care of your body properly. If you don't love this is important. I was talking to my friend Dominic, the doctor, about this, BeSimplyWell.com. And one of the interesting things he said is, like, when people have a low self-esteem, a low self-worth, in other words, they just don't think they're worth it, they won't take care of themselves. Because I've got family members and friends that I can make the vegetable juice and give it to them, and they'll drink it while I'm there or while they're visiting with me. But as soon as I leave, they don't do anything to help themselves. And it's low self-esteem, low self-worth. People that love themselves and care about themselves, they will take care of themselves. And those that don't, they'll find an excuse. It's something to think about. So, you've got to take care of your body properly. It really isn't a choice, because if you don't love yourself enough to do it, you're going to suffer unnecessarily. You're going to have a poor quality wife, and you're going to die way too soon. Think about my friend, 43 years old. He's got this giant scar on his chest because he just simply hasn't loved himself enough to take the proper care of his body and go to the gym and work out and take care of himself properly. Life's a gift. You got to cherish it. So I hope you stick around for a while. Think about all of the other organisms living in your body. If you keep your internal fluids alkaline, the overwhelming majority of life living within you will remain benign and beneficial. The ones that are toxic will easily be able to be handled by your immune system. Because most people, because there's so much crap literally backed up in their intestines, their alimentary canal, your sewer system basically, that all of the energy of your immune system is focused on just trying to keep all that bacteria at bay and from making you sick. And so it really can't focus on doing the things that it really needs to do. And so literally what happens as we age, we fill up with toxins and preservatives and stuff that we never are able to get rid of. And that's what causes us to rot while we're still alive. So think, this is a great analogy, a great metaphor. Think of yourself as like a healthy or toxically polluted lake. And take care of you. You, like I said before, you don't have a choice. And Johns Hopkins University has recently verified Dr. Young's discoveries on what kills the human body from the inside. And so it's like, how can you use this knowledge to save your life and those of you love? It's obviously you got to apply it, because at the end of the day, I can talk about this stuff day in and day out and keep telling you the books, keep sending you the links, but you have to participate in your own rescue. I can't do it for you. Your mommy and your daddy, they can't do it for you. You have to love yourself enough to want to take care of your body, to want to love your body and nurture it and take care of it, because it's the temple that houses your spirit. So, like I said, like I talked about earlier, another thing that's a really great bonus, obviously, is, because I know it can be expensive, because, like, give an example, for, like, network chiropractic doctors, you're going to be looking anywhere from, like, $40 in entrainment up to $70. Some doctors charge as much as that. But it's like, if you can afford it, and there's a good doctor that does make sure they're level 3 certified. If you can find somebody in your area that's level 3 certified, I mean, it's one of the most night and day changing things, paradigm shifting healing modalities that you can incorporate into your life. And so I highly recommend it. So, and here's another interesting thing about taking care of your body, right? So women and men, I mean, we are naturally driven, and we're going to be naturally the most attracted to the healthiest looking members of the opposite sex. So think about it. If you're healthy, you're in good shape, you work out, your skin's going to look bright, your eyes are going to be bright, you're going to have good muscle tone, your skin's going to look nice, it's going to look softer. I mean, you just literally are going to look healthier. And so think about it. When you're out and you're out with your buddies and your girls are looking around, I mean, you just fucking radiate health because you take care of yourself. You're going to have more options. You're going to have more choices. And if you're a woman, same thing as a guy. A woman who's got a great body, who's got great skin, who's got great muscle tone, she looks healthy. We're naturally going to be more drawn and more attracted to a woman who exudes that kind of a youthful sheen, if you will. And so, I'm closing. I have one last thing to share with you that may be jarring, may shake you a little bit, but it's kind of funny. It's like literally right now, there are millions of bugs swimming around in your eyeballs, living, pissing, shitting, and crapping all over you and inside of you. Isn't that a comforting thought? That's yummy. Something to think about. So the bottom line is you really have to be cognizant and aware of your own body chemistry, because if you don't take care of it, all of those organisms that are inside of you that will break you down and eat what's left of you when you die, in essence, they'll stay benign. But if you don't take care of yourself, then those things will actually start eating your tissue, because you literally start rotting while you're alive. Now, if you've ever seen a polluted lake, like when I lived in Orlando, I lived on a lake, and I remember during the summer it would get really hot, and so when the water got to a certain temperature, you would see an algae bloom in the lake. And what that would look like is the water would go from being like really clear to like really green. And so you'd have all this algae, and so there's all this algae floating in the water because it's all the phosphates from all the fertilizer in people's lawns and landscaping running off from rainwater into the lake and draining into the lake. And so that caused the algae to go bananas and eat up all the phosphates. Well, when all the algae's in the lake, then you get these other things that were called blind mosquitoes. And what's interesting, they're little larvae. They would actually eat this algae. And so, like during the summer, when the lake would heat up, these blind mosquitoes, I mean, they'd be everywhere. I mean, these things, I mean, literally, there's mosquitoes, they're blind. They don't sting you or bite you, but they land on you, and they're just like everywhere. I remember walking around my pool. I mean, you see all these things, and you could kind of tell there's something in the pool deck, but you couldn't tell what it was. And like as you start walking through it, they start taking off. I mean, you know, it was funny. I remember there was I think it was the people with the power company and somebody with the lakes and wildlife or whatever. They came, knocked on my door, and asked if they can go in my backyard. And like, there's like millions of these fucking blind mosquitoes, because like middle of summer, it's like the hottest time, and they're like, these things are like eating all the algae. And this is just nature's way of balancing itself. There's a pollutant in the water, causes the algae to bloom, it eats it up, takes care of the phosphates, and then what happens? You get these blind mosquitoes because there's so much of a large food supply. They multiply like crazy, so they eat all of the algae. And so I thought this was funny as hell. You know, they're like, can we go in the backyard? I was like, sure. And it's like, so I sit down and I'm watching through the sliding glass doors. And as they, you know, because like soon as they hit the pool deck, like these things are like everywhere. They're in the grass, they're on the pool. I mean, there's literally thousands and thousands and thousands. And so I'm just waiting for them to walk in, and it's just like a fucking swarm of these things. And like, so they're all like fucking swatting like this, and like, you know, they're these things. You know, they don't bite you or anything. They're annoying as fuck. They land on you, and so. Think about that, because that's in essence what is going on in your body. So think of your body as either a really healthy, clean, clear lake, or it's a nasty, polluted one with all kinds of algae and all kinds of nasty organisms You know, it's like you've ever seen like a puddle of water and there's like tadpoles and mosquitoes growing there. Stuff only grows in water like that that's stagnant. And so that in essence is what starts to grow inside you when you don't take care of your body. So that's a pretty sobering thought. You know, people will do more to avoid pain than they'll do to gain pleasure. And so I wanted to leave that thought with you. So if you would like me to consult with you and help you, maybe help you find and locate some doctors that are willing to help you implement this into your life, or you want some advice on exercise or health, go to my website, click the products tab at the top of your screen, and follow the instructions for booking a paid phone coaching session. And I will talk to you soon.